Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever really stopped to think about the story behind the everyday objects we create? Well, today we're diving into a short poem that does exactly that. It gives a voice to a simple clay goblet. And trust me, what it has to say is this really powerful story about creation, loss, and memory. So, here it is, the Earthen Goblet. It kicks off with what seems like a simple question to this silent, red object. It asks, "O silent goblet, red from head to heel, how did you feel when you were being twirled upon the potter's wheel?" That's a perspective we almost never consider, right?
And here's the really cool part about this poem. It doesn't just leave that question hanging. It actually gives us the goblet's answer. And in doing that, it tells this profound, almost tragic story about what it means to be created and what gets lost when you're made into something new.
To really get the goblet story, we have to rewind the clock. We've got to go back in time, way before it was a goblet at all. Back to when it was just this formless, living clay.
Now get this, the goblet doesn't just remember being clay, it remembers that time as its best state. Can you believe that? It's this memory of total freedom, this formless existence that it thinks was way better than the polished, finished object it is now.
And it wasn't just some lonely blob of clay either. It was totally connected to nature. It actually felt, and I quote, "the fragrant friendship of a little flower whose root was buried deep inside it." It's such a beautiful picture of life and connection. A life that was about to be changed forever.
But that peaceful, natural life? Yeah, it got interrupted, and not gently. The poem brings in the potter, not as some kind creator, but as this overwhelming and kind of unstoppable force.
The whole transformation kicks off with this one word, twirled. You can just feel it, right? That disorienting, dizzying spin on the potter's wheel. It's the very first step in the clay losing all control over its own being. Then comes the potter's hand, and the clay doesn't feel it as a gentle touch. No, it feels something that burns so warm. It's a force it wants to escape from, not something it welcomes. And just like that, the clay becomes a captive. It's literally a prisoner in this process. It has no say, zero control over its own remaking. The potter's wheel isn't a tool of creation anymore. It's a prison. You can almost feel the clay's internal struggle here. First, it has this conscious impulse to break away. So it's aware of what's happening and it's fighting back. But it's no use. It's ultimately cast into this crimson goblet sleep, this state of being forced into passivity. This is not a happy creation story. The clay feels a vast feeling of sorrow as it's shaped into this new, totally unfamiliar form. So, what's the result of all this pain and all this struggle? Well, on the outside, you get a beautiful object. But from the goblet's point of view, it's something way, way more tragic. And boom, here it is. This is the absolute heart of the poem. The act of being made into something beautiful is described as death. The potter didn't just shape the clay. He drawn out the living breath of it. That new, beautiful form, it's a tomb for what the clay used to be. This contrast just lays it all out, doesn't it? In its past state, you had living breath, a natural, free-form existence, and that beautiful friendship of a flower. And now it's a crimson goblet sleep, a final, given shape that's just silent and totally alone. The transformation completely cut it off from its old life. So it becomes pretty clear, right? This poem isn't just about a piece of pottery. Nope, it's a really powerful metaphor for something much, much deeper. The goblet story is really about any natural thing being forcefully shaped into something new, losing its original self, its living breath along the way. Think about it in human terms. The pressure to follow a certain career path, maybe giving up a passion you really love, or how sometimes education systems can mold creative kids into just being good test takers. It's all about the cost of being shaped by some outside force and losing something wild and essential in the process. Man, this little poem just hits on so many big ideas. There's the pain that so often comes with change, the loss of that natural self, and this wild idea of art as a kind of beautiful violence. It really makes you think about that line between conformity and freedom, and that nostalgia we all feel for a past we can never quite get back. And that's what the poem leaves us with, this huge, lingering question that goes way beyond a simple clay pot. As we grow up, as we learn, as we're shaped by the world around us, what parts of our original, unshapely selves get lost forever? What's the price of our own beautifully finished forms? That's what this simple goblet is asking us to think about.